Action of one news I am asking to the people.
This is maybe Channel 1%, where we address questions.
Abandon our brother Nnamdi Kanu.
I'm a Biafran by indigenous.
Biafra, so we can never deny our ancestors.
This is Baby Action of one.
My name is Dozie Ikedife, Dr. Dozie Ikedife, the Deputy Chairman of the Supreme Council of Elders of Indigenous People of Biafra, led by Honorable Justice Ezozobu, retired, a traditional ruler in Enugu State. We, of course, have this Supreme Council of Elders of Indigenous People of Biafra. We gave the power of attorney to a group called Believe Human Rights Initiative, which is a body recognized and corporate, to take Nigeria to court on the issue of whether the Biafrans have the right to self-determination or not. This case started way back in 2012. It was readjusted and given another number in 2013, and it's still going on at the Federal High Court, Owerri. The case is ongoing. Now, let me at this stage appreciate some of the people who have been active in pursuit of issue of self-determination for indigenous people of Biafra and other indigenous people elsewhere in the world. First, let me recognize and acknowledge and congratulate and respect Barrister Ralph Wazirike, leader of MASOB, esquire leader of MASOB and leader of BIM. He was the person who, at one time, seemed to be the only voice talking about Biafra. And that time, before you mentioned Biafra, 5, 6, 7 years ago, 8 years, you have to look left and right and front and back to ensure that people will not pounce on you or drag you for mentioning Biafra. In fact, at that time, the name Biafra looked like something prohibited that you could never mention. Then, of course, also on the list of people to be recognized include the Learned Council, Emeke Mekesri, who prepared the legal bundle with which we went to court, the ongoing case at Federal High Court of Owerri. Then, of course, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who was until recently incarcerated and just recently granted his bail. He is the director of Radio Biafra, and he was a strong voice that helped to bring the name of Biafra to the front burner and to help make it dignified. Then, of course, there is the Supreme Council of Indigenous People of Elders of Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. I've mentioned before, under the leadership of His Royal Majesty Honorable Justice Ezozobu, with me, Dr. Dozie Ikedife, as his deputy, and with General Joe Achozia as his secretary, with other members of the Supreme Council, including Debo Ojukwu, Professor Osuagwu, Ezenwokenna, Archbishop Enyoha, Kalada Jene, Ujozi Tekwas Okorie, and so many others. So many others. I don't want to give their full names, not that it is secret, but it's not necessary. And then, of course, other pro-Biafran groups, too many to be named here. They are all enthusiasts, and I want to make it clear Because in the mind of some people, there may be some confusion as to who is who. All these people are, I'll illustrate by making reference to the churches and in fact religious groups in the world. They are all different, but they're all talking about one God, by whatever name you call it. Similarly too, all these pro-Biafran groups may have different names, different approaches, but they're all talking about self-determination for indigenous people of Biafra. And it is a matter of methodology. At this breath, let me invite all pro-Biafran groups to please come under the customary government, which is established by the Supreme Council. Within this group, there is room for everybody. If you are a good writer, we'll give you opportunity to write. If you're a good speaker, we'll give you opportunity to speak, to propagate the concept of self-determination as enacted by United Nations, extended and accepted by African Union, and extended to Nigeria. This is a legal process, a legal right, and we are operating within the law of Nigeria. And we keep emphasizing any group should try and operate in total obedience to the law, wherever they are. Whether they are agitating for self-determination for indigenous people of Biafra or any other indigenous group of people, let them please operate within the law. Nobody is now talking about war or fighting or in the air, on land or on sea. We are no more talking about Ubunigwe. We are no more talking about a battlefront with armored cars and ferrets and AK-47. No, that's primitive and finished and gone with. We are now talking about legal process, diplomatic process, dialogue, discussion round the table, trying to understand the other person's point of view. That is the stage we are at. Now, at this stage, let me also thank the federal government of Nigeria by agreeing to arrange bail for Nnamdi Kanu. They set up a very tough bail conditions, which to me was almost an impossible task to meet. But within 48 hours, people rallied around. So I want to thank all those who joined to make him meet the bail condition and to regain his freedom, even though it is said to be on medical ground, with a lot of limitations to his movements and his speech and his associations. All that notwithstanding, I think it may be the beginning of light shining out from the tunnel or into the tunnel, that with passage of time, we expect that justice will be done to the case. We appeal to those who are still incarcerated, who have not been granted bail, to be patient. Time will cure every ill, including long incarceration. I'm appealing to the federal government to expedite action in disposing with the case, because justice delayed amounts to justice denied. Cases like this should not be allowed to linger too long, because holding somebody in custody when he has not been found guilty may, in the end, if the person is found not to be guilty, it may mean that the person has suffered in vain, and we should avoid that. Expeditious disposition of the cases will help us dispel the suspicion or rumor or fear that justice is being denied. It is now necessary that we'll increase our diplomatic moves, democratic process of trying to achieve what is the right of indigenous people. That is the right for self-determination. We have to ensure that that is achieved within the law of the land. I think at this stage, you may want to know the stage we are at. I want to bring to the notice of the world the presence and existence of customary government of indigenous people of Biafra under the Supreme Council of Elders of the indigenous people of Biafra. That is a de facto government that is looking after the interests of Biafrans.
I'm Nnamdi Kanu, your host and director of Radio Biafra, by the grace of God, a servant of the wonderful people of Biafra. I am delighted to say every Biafran, wherever you are on this planet, be it today, yesterday, or from 10, 15 years ago, if you identify yourself as a Biafran, you should come under the authority and the guardianship of the Council of Elders of the Indigenous People of Biafra. We have a de facto government enshrined in the Constitution of Nigeria by virtue of the fact that we are seeking to deploy customary laws as a way of governing our people. So we can have a Biafra, in fact we have a de facto Biafran government as we speak, headed by His Royal Majesty Honorable Justice Ezozobo retired. The entire Biafran family will be united under the leadership of the Council of Elders. I am not leading Biafra, neither is my team at the entire board of the Radio Biafra editorial board. We are not leading Biafra, neither is Bilia leading Biafrans. Biafrans are led by our wise men, our wise elders, our wise fathers, our wise uncles, our brothers, who will make up the Council of Elders of the Indigenous People of Biafra.
Now, all these activities, the establishment of Biafra Voice International, the entry into YouTube, entry into digital broadcasting and perhaps FM broadcasting, undertaking diplomatic journeys, publication of pamphlets and handbills, visiting and conducting these town hall meetings and holding even ordinary what we call unity meetings. All these things, of course, require money. And since we are not a de jure government, we do not have the right to collect any money from anybody under any law. We have no power to do that. But money is needed badly. Many people feel reluctant to buy into this movement. But time has come that everybody who is well-meaning should boldly come out and contribute financially. Even if you are not willing to contribute in going from town hall meetings to educate our people on their responsibility and how to be good citizens, there are people who are doing it. And they are leaving their daily work to go and do it, buying petrol, driving their cars, maintaining the studio, publishing pamphlets, going to conferences. All these things require money. And we now ask you, if you understand and mean it, to make some contribution to allow these things to go on. The legal case is going on. The diplomatic cases are going on. They require traveling to attend to other parts of the world for consultation, for diplomatic penetration, for educating the other people of the world, and for buying sympathy and support. We have to start with our own, and the people who are operating this customary government have exhausted the money they have. And without financial support from outside part, this trend that has started may stop in midway of the journey. And it will be to the frustration of both the travelers, the onlookers, and the observers. We do not want the trend to stop halfway. We want the journey to reach destination, which is self-determination for our people and other people who so desire. There are other bodies that I want to mention, and that is the Southeast Elders Forum, of which I'm the convener. This is another body, corporate, registered. And they're also talking about the welfare of people of Southeast and South-South. Their right to self-determination, whether they want however they want it. And the way to ensure that this is done equitably and legally and properly is to ensure that referendum is organized, and this referendum to reflect the opinion of the people. Recently, I was pained to hear that the British High Commissioner or his representative said that British government is in support of Nigeria not continuing as one country, and that they are not in support of people talking of about self-determination. I think that is an unfortunate statement, but I want to take it that it is his personal opinion on which he is entitled to. After all, in the United Kingdom today, the Scottish people are talking about home rule, the Welsh people are talking about home rule, the Irish people are talking about home rule. And Scottish people have their Scottish parliament, have Scottish national government. They are all still part and parcel of the United Kingdom. And nobody has stopped any of them from talking about devolution of power. We're talking about devolution of power. And United Kingdom recently voted to pull out of European Union. Nobody is taking them to court for that. Nobody is arresting anybody. Nobody is incarcerating anybody. It is a right to say, to exercise their right to self-determination and free association the way they want. It will be recalled that the Union of Socialist Soviet Russia was a big country. Within the last 10-15 years or so, from it have come out about 11 other countries. You will not hear about Yugoslavia again because it has split into 2 or 3. Nor will you hear about Czechoslovakia again because it has split into 2 or 3 countries. Sudan has split into Sudan and Southern Sudan. East Timor has split and is now autonomous and independent. This is going on all the time and it will continue to go on. And anybody saying that such a thing cannot come to West Africa or to Nigeria in particular, I think it's a pipe dream. It's bound to come. It's bound to come. It is certainly bound to come. It's a question of time. And we want it peacefully because we've fought a war and we've seen the pains, the agony and the frustration of war. We don't want war again. We want it by dialogue, by discussion, by diplomatic contacts, by legal process. That is where we are today. And I want to invite again all those who are fair-minded. Let people stop being afraid of talking about self-determination. The least Nigeria can do today is to have restructuring. Some people are even talking that they don't want restructuring, that they're okay how things are. Of course, they will feel okay how things are. If you are comfortably sitting in a bus, you won't want any rearrangement of the seats. If you're comfortably sitting on a dining table and the food is in front of you, you won't want the food to be rearranged or the seating rearranged because you don't want to move yourself from a superlatively comfortable zone to a relatively less comfortable zone that accommodates others. It is me alone or each person unto himself and God for all of us. We want all of us to be taken care of equally, equitably, with a sense of fairness, sense of equity, sense of justice, sense of consideration to others, rather than considering self alone. That is what we are talking. That is what we are preaching, because it's what we believe in. And we want others to buy into it. Finally, we want Nigerians in general, Biafrans in particular, wherever they are, to take the quest for their self-determination for Biafrans to a different level of serious consideration and implementation and achievement. Thank you very much.